Alright guys, it's Brandon here with Alive and Loud Magazine. I'm sitting here with two of the members from Savage After Midnight.
What's up?
How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Great.
So what has this tour been like for you guys so far?
Oh, man. It's been, I'd say, probably the experience of a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of bands out there right now that would kill to be on the slot that we've got on this tour. So it's hard to like wake up every day and really feel like you earned that spot. You know what I mean? Even though we definitely have, but it's been surreal. Like every night, just being able to look out and see that many people in an arena is just insane.
Absolutely, I can't imagine.
Especially with the stacked lineup we got too. It's just a straight dream and a blessing to even just be out here and support on this tour too.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say because this is your first big tour, right?
Well, we did a tour with Shinedown last year. We were actually direct support for Shinedown last year.
Okay, wow, that's awesome.
And that was big, but like throwing Papa Roach on the bill and Asking Alexandria, I mean, it just shot it to the moon. So we were doing arenas, but I think in total it was like 8, 10, 12 dates or something with Shinedown last year. This is like a full leg of the tour, so it's been a little different this time.
Yeah. So, like, what would you guys say your favorite venue to play so far has been?
They've all been special.
I think we kind of all agreed on Quebec City.
Yeah, Videotron Center.
Yeah, that crowd was just epic.
The crowd was amazing. The venue was state of the art. Like they had just built it, so the amenities in the arena were just insane. But yeah, we're about halfway through the tour right now, so we're kind of getting to the point where we're gauging where all the shows lie, like how we're ranking them.
Yeah.
So far, Quebec City definitely.
Okay, wow. Well, hopefully we'll add Evansville to that list.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of very special moments here. The Ford Center's relatively new. Before we had what was called Roberts Stadium, and I think it was one of 8 last shows that Jimmy the Rev Sullivan played.
Wow. Oh wow.
And I was there, so that was.
Wow.
So they now call Evansville, whenever Avenged Sevenfold rolls through here, called Revansville.
I love it.
So there's like a whole bunch of signs out there, and it usually chokes the band up pretty well to see all that love still emanating for Rev. So
that's crazy.
But I wanted to touch base on the record. So tell me what this writing process has been like for you guys.
So on the new record or the record we just released?
11:59.
So that record has been written for so long. That record has been written. Well, okay, so let's put it this way. We've had some of the big songs. So like 10 Feet Tall,
Yeah.
I think that song, like the first iteration of that song was written in 2014.
Wow, so that's been a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a long, long time. And we've tried to put it out several times on a bunch of different labels, which is, kind of gets into our story as a band, just all the turmoil we've had to go through to put this record out. But, so the writing process for 11:59 was, I want to be the guy that sits here and says that it was like super organic, came out naturally. I think we wrote 60 songs for that record, man. Like we just were drilling song after song after song.
Yeah.
Like the big saying in the music business is you have your entire life to write your freshman album, and you got like a year to write your sophomore album. So our freshman album, we definitely took all the time in the world to really get the best of the best songs out there. And I feel like we did a really good job. I think that record helps us kind of show the identity of the project. I think it's a really good first release, first EP.
Yeah.
So I think it shows all the different sides of the band pretty well. And it was, really important for us to be able to gauge the crowds and see which songs they react to as to, how we're going to write in the future. But the writing process is pretty smooth. We've been writing as a group together for a long time now, so the process itself is typically pretty smooth when we're writing.
Awesome. I was going to say, because the whole 11:59 album seems very organic when you listen to it, but I totally understand as far as like the process of writing music and material, it can take some time, and I think a very first record, as good as that one was, you should take your time with it and make sure everything is where it needs to be. So
Right.
I think you can tell that when you listen to that record.
Thank you.
Which is really
you
good.
got one chance to present your project.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like one chance to really show what the band is, and so that inevitably is that first record. So we spent a lot of time on it, but we're pretty proud of what came out of it.
Yeah, as you should be. I wanted to ask, so the music video for Heartless Machine,
Sure.
that's my personal favorite song. I'm sure you see me post about that all the time. I actually have a really deep connection to that song. So what is the idea behind the music video for that song? I know it's very stylized. It's kind of almost sci-fi.
Right.
So what was that like for you guys sitting down and thinking, how are we going to create a music video for Heartless Machine?
So Heartless Heartless is a different song. We didn't really make the Heartless video. I guess in a way we made it about what the song is about, but really the Heartless video was to help us set up our animated comic book series that's coming out called The Savages.
Oh wow, that's cool,
so,
man.
You see all the animation and stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
The whole point of that music video was to try to introduce the idea of the love interest into the show. So, or into the comic book,
Yeah.
which will actually be a short series as well. But so yeah, that video it doesn't really dive into the lyrical components as much as it does setting up Easter eggs for the comic book series. So it was different, like trying to write that video because typically when you're going and doing a music video, you put a whole plot line out based on the idea of the song, and you try to visualize what you've written just for the ear.
Yeah.
But this process was done a little bit backwards. The other thing was we did a really, really low budget version of that video because
Okay.
Heartless was actually not selected to be like a push single. So the only real approval we got from Sony for that song was to do a viral release, which means it's just way lower budget. So we did a one location shoot, and the guy that we hired, Blake Heimbach, he actually did the Unleashed video as well. He's got a company called Hotkey Studios out of Memphis, Tennessee. He stretched our dollar to the max. That video ended up being one of the coolest we've done.
Yeah, I was gonna say in a good way because they all turned out so well, like very well
Right.
put together. I was showing a couple friends of mine that video, and they were like, "Wow, how long have these guys been around?" And I said, "I think for at least maybe 5 or 6 years, but you couldn't
Yeah.
tell because everything
Short
is
answer,
so."
forever.
Yeah, yeah,
But
which
like-
is a good feeling to have because it shows the chemistry you guys have.
Right.
I've watched a lot of live videos and footage of you guys performing live,
Right.
and it's really cool to see that on-stage chemistry as well as some of the backstage stuff.
We've been together forever, but the project Savage is fairly new. Like, we were called Empire City for a while,
Okay.
and then as soon as we signed to Sony, they made us change our name because of some kind of global implications with somebody in, is it Denmark or somewhere? Yeah, that had the name,
Okay.
whatever, so it was going to complicate us releasing music overseas.
Yeah.
So we ended up changing the name to Savage After Midnight. It kind of became the rebirth, the rebrand, and Savage is basically it now. We've been playing together forever. I mean,
Okay, cool. And to touch
forever.
base on that name, Savage After Midnight, what made you guys decide on that particular name?
A list of 100 different names. I don't know. For me, like Savage After Midnight was something we could all kind of relate to. Usually you turn it on as soon as 12 o'clock hits.
Yeah.
But then, what really sealed it was the whole idea of the Savages, like our animated characters.
Yeah.
And that's really, we started spinning off the idea of like Savage After Midnight, as like normal guys, like as a band, and then also you add the, comic book element to it, the Savages. It just all started really clicking, and the identity of the project started clicking, and it was pretty natural to select that name. We had a couple cool ones though. It was called, oh my god, what was my second place? Havana Sleeps. We were so close to picking the band name as Havana Sleeps.
I like
I
that.
still to this day love that band name. But
Maybe you can make a song called Havana Sleeps.
we were thinking about making a record called Havana Sleeps.
A record, but that would be cool. Yeah.
But there just wasn't as much like connection to like that. I think that conversation got so far as to like, Shai was like, "Well, we don't have a story around it. Let's just fly to Cuba and go do some hood rat shit in Havana, and we'll name the band that." We're like, "You fly us to Cuba, let's go."
Right.
And yeah, we got a great band name at that point. But no, Savage ended up working out well. We're happy with the name.
Cool, man. So I wanted to ask Derek specifically, who influences your playing? Because listening to your playing style, it's very, I hate to overuse the word organic, but it does feel organic. It flows very well, but you have a almost unusual time signature with your playing because you're very rapid,
Yeah.
but you stay in time,
Yeah.
always in the pocket. So who influences that?
Man, I look at a lot of different drummers. Barry Kurtz, Tony Palermo, Tommy Lee, just to name a few, and even Josh Wills from Stone of the Year. So it's like I kind of put those all together and
Yeah.
make something crazy. But yeah, those are my main influences on how I approach my drumming.
Awesome. What about yourself?
Man, I draw from everybody. vocalists are weird because we try to grab things
Yeah.
from so many different styles of music. But to be honest with you, man, like, my biggest influences are like Day to Remember, like Census Fail, 4 Years Strong. Like, I come from that whole pop punk era, and as I got older, I started singing, more top 40 stuff. I really got into like pop stuff.
Yeah.
I worked in Nashville on country for a while, so I got into like country singing, and it kind of forced me to get that traditional vocal tone. And then now I found a project where I can kind of bring it back full circle to like the yell vocal stuff, melodic yell vocals, and kind of more punky stuff. I hate using the word punk, but that's where it originally came from. That's what I learned to start singing music to. So those pieces, especially for the vocals that I do in Savage, that's always going to be alive in that that
Yeah.
original like 2000s pop punk rock thing, and then I try to throw a little vibrato in there too, and try to actually sing the songs.
Okay. So what would you guys say is next for Savage after this tour? What do you guys have coming up?
We're going to bed.
Yeah.
We're gonna go sleep for a while.
Hibernate for a little bit?
For a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go home. We're done after this tour for the year, and then there's stuff obviously we can't talk about right now, but we've got some really cool stuff to announce. I think first part of next year. A lot of cool touring opportunities next year that I think we're gonna pull the trigger on here really soon. So we'll be on the lookout for those announcements because they'll come sooner than you think.
And you mentioned the comic book, right?
Yeah, we don't have a date on that yet. I know it's. At the last I heard, it's farther along than we would think. Because we don't really hear much about that. There's a
Yeah.
whole new group of guys that we're working with. Howard Russell, the Sketch Lab.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of stuff for like ESPN, and he did Good Morning Football. He did some stuff with them. He's got such a unique art, type of art, that we kind of have him heading up, animating that whole thing. And then John Falls from Egypt Central is actually helping doing a lot of the writing. He's actually helped out a lot on the music video concepts as well.
Okay.
And he actually was one of the co-producers on 1159 as well. So he's been helping out a lot. So we kind of left that in their world a little bit. We chime in a little bit on plot points and things like that. But I don't know that we have a date for comic book release. But we are going to be talking about the release of 1201 here really soon. We're super excited to get that out to people because it's a completely different approach to the EP. So like you've got 1159 that's kind of our more aggressive sound, and then 1201 we've got some of the heaviest stuff that we've ever written on that EP, and then we've got some of the most alternative stuff you've ever heard on that EP. So it's going to be really interesting. We're really psyched. And I think we're all kind of trying to wrap our heads around the release of that 1201 right now more than anything else. And then the touring stuff.
That's really exciting because a lot of bands tend to like either change their sound after, I guess, a sophomore release to like maybe something a little more acoustic, or they don't usually try to like tip the scale and balance everything as well. So to have something heavy and then maybe some alternative, maybe some Hawthorne Heights influences.
Yeah, potentially. I think the interesting point here is like I don't think people really give a shit about what style you're going to release anymore.
Yeah.
If it's good, it's good. Like people have stopped kind of having the conversation for the most part about whether something falls in active rock or alt or what version of top 40. Whether it's pop or R&B or hip hop or electronic. Nobody really gives a shit anymore. I mean, like look at what Post Malone did with this last release. It's just so all over the board, and not many people really try to care to categorize it,
Yeah.
And rock is kind of the same way. You've got Shinedown's new record with the song Get Up. I have a hard time believing that that's like a, heavy rock song, even though some radio programmers would say that's a heavy rock song.
Yeah, based off just the name Shinedown because of what they've done before. So yeah, I feel like it's good to think outside of the box because
we just
that gets
what
you
we
more
want.
playtime as well. If you're like, we're just going to create what we want to create,
That's right.
and whoever wants to play it is going to play it.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Y'all
could end up
figure
on
out
a
how
pop
to
channel
format
and you
it.
wouldn't care. Yeah.
You guys figure out the politics of how you want to release what, but we're just going to write what we want. And the good news is now we're kind of entering the age of streaming.
Yeah.
So people can absolutely access any style, any genre, anywhere, and they don't need it to fit any kind of category because they're not consuming music that way anymore. So it's, you want to talk about freedom, like that's like ultimate songwriter freedom.
Yeah.
Knowing that we've entered the age of streaming.
Yeah, it's a very good way to look at it, and I'm really excited for 1201.
It's
So
gonna be awesome.
I can say that 1159 is a very personal record for me personally.
Thank you, man.
Won't get into that on camera because that gets kind of sappy, as you know. But I tell you, there's a lot of people locally here in the tri-state who really dig it. Back in Owensboro, which is where I'm from, we actually have played Unleash, or is it? I think it's Unleash about 8 times a day so far. I've seen some of the numbers, and it's starting to make the rounds.
That's love, man. That's love.
Yeah, and 97X is like the premier rock channel in our area, so for them to show that much love, that is a
awesome.
lot. So
Yeah, that makes me really happy, man.
but yeah, we call in and request it all the time, so hopefully,
Heck yeah.
you know, we'll get more airtime with it, maybe some more singles.
Absolutely.
But I want to say thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to us at
Bro,
Live and
thanks for having
Loud,
us, man.
and
Yeah, we appreciate it.
we wish you guys the very best on the road and for everything to come up.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you